Yeah, so a big fish in Grand Lake right now, you know, that 6-7 pounds is a really good fish. Northern strain fish do top out at some level. You can have a strange one get up there to 10 pounds, but that's not normal. So when people say, how do I grow 10-pound bass in my pond in Illinois? Well, it's kind of hard to do because most northern strain fish just don't do that. It's kind of like, how do I grow to 7 feet tall? We just, not all of us have those genetics. So a typical good fish of a northern strain a variety is going to be, you know, 7-8 pounds. And that's going to be the top of the mark for most of your fish, some of them 6. So these fish, though, these are the fish that you see, these F1s especially, but also your straight Florida strain that we're stocking, are the fish that you see state records coming at 15, 16 pounds, world records. They're generally these Florida strain or Florida strain with northern strain crosses. A lot like what we've done in Arbuckle, Sardis, Broken Bow, and produced those gigantic fish. Murray last year, you saw 2 14-pounders came out in 1 week. Those were part of our Florida strain stocking program. What's different is that all started back in the old days when we were also stocking Grand Lake. Obviously Grand Lake it stands out. It's one of the top 20 lakes bass lakes in the nation and that kind of stuff. So it stands out as something we want to do this in. However, those fingerling stockings didn't work. So that's the difference. Down there in Arbuckle and Broken Bow and Sardis and those lakes, they're getting fingerling fish on a yearly basis. And that's a lot easier to do. We can produce a lot of fingerlings. You get them out pretty early at 1.5 inches. They're not eating each other. They're not eating too much food. And you can have a lot of them in one place. And then you go stock them in the water. If they work like that, perfect. That just didn't work here. And I think a lot of people think, why don't we put these fish in Grand Lake? And I've said it a bunch of times, but to get the message out there even more, we did. Most of the people in our agency don't know how long we actually stocked Florida strain bass in Grand Lake. It was like 1982 to 1998, and it came back as the worst genetic profile for moving genetics of these fish of any other lake we did through that time frame. So you can say that our genetics studies weren't as good back then, and you'd be correct. Science wasn't where it is today. But when you looked at all the other lakes showing 15 and 25% Florida genes in that water body, and then you looked at Grand at 0 every single year except for one that came back with 1%, we pretty much determined in that 16, 18 year span that this was a waste of resources. So here we are, going to stock these bigger fish, and I've got high hopes for it. We've definitely got the productivity, like I said. We've got the food for them, and if these fish can just spawn and move some genetics, then I think years from now we're gonna reap the benefits.